Holiday binge drinking fallout. Where on the spectrum are you? Did you drink on Thanksgiving? Did you not drink? Did you not drink but struggle? Or did you drink a little bit or a lot? We're going to dive into that. I'm going to talk about a little bit about where I was with my drinking during the holidays, and then now where I'm 5+ years sober and I've experienced 5 of these holiday seasons alcohol free, this being my 6th, and just the difference between the two. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Josh, living life alcohol free. If you're returning, thank you guys so much for being here. I did a poll 2 nights ago. It was, where were you on your drinking on Thanksgiving? Did you drink a little? Did you drink a lot? Did you not drink but struggle with it? Or did you not drink and you loved it? I would be on the not drink and loved it. That was about 60% of you guys that were polled on here. And I suspect most of you that are doing the polls and liking and commenting on the community posts are subscribers. So thank you guys for chiming in and letting me know, because it gives me a good idea of where we're at, where you guys are at, and it helps me make content for you guys, and so we can, have relatable dialogue, not just for me talking on the video, but also for comments and that kind of thing. So we'll get right into it. I remember when this was 2017 Christmas, and I know we just had Thanksgiving, but I want to talk about one of the worst drinking days that I had in my life, especially in my married life. I had some tough ones as a single guy, but when I was married and unemployed in 2017, my self-esteem was really lacking. I was having a hard time finding work, and I didn't necessarily want to find work. I had only lost my job about a month prior to that. So it was just before Thanksgiving that I lost my job. And it played a huge role in my drinking. If you guys have been around the channel for a while, or if you're new to the channel, my drinking was really escalated during times of unemployment. I did not know how to handle being unemployed, A, but B, I did not know how to control my drinking. And the more that I was not working, the longer I went without working, I started to drink more. And then I got to a point where I was drinking earlier and earlier in the day. And by the end of the day, I needed more. I needed more escape. I needed more of that euphoric feeling of being, drunk. But the more that I would drink, the more I would black out and say things that I would not remember. My family might say things to me that I couldn't remember the next day, to the point where I had to write things down in my phone just to remember what they had told me. And then I would say things and do things and be angry, and the next day just be irritable until I got to that drinking session again. Sometimes I would drink to the point that I couldn't really drink the next day because I was so hungover. And that was 2017. And that was kind of the beginning later that year, of really getting to the crux of my problems with alcohol. And I'm glad that I went through that. I'm glad that I remember that, because the next morning I was so sick. I had mixed red wine, beer, and whiskey, I believe it was, all 3 of those things within about 12 or 13 hour period. I started drinking at like 9 in the morning with red wine. And, you know, my wife was kind of looking at me like, "You're drinking already?" I'm like, "Yeah, just having a glass of wine or two." Well, then it was Guinness. And then later in the afternoon, it was a little bit of Maker's Mark. And then a little bit later after that, it was beer. And then at the end of the day, it was wine, red wine again. So, you know, anybody that has mixed alcohol, you know, and that amount of alcohol, you know how you feel the next day. I felt like I was going to die, throwing up, barely could move out of bed. And, you know, it was just hard to, my wife had to go to work. So it was just me taking care of things at home. And I did my best, but you know, your best sometimes when you're drinking like that, it's not good enough. And later that year, I had a friend that passed away that drank himself to death, and that was really the key moment in my life to question where I was with my drinking and what I needed to do. But holidays were always tough for me. Holidays have always been tough for me, even as a non-drinker. Social anxiety sets in, and getting through those occasions without alcohol to kind of help can be tough. And if you are experiencing that, um, then you know we can get into that a little bit more in this video. But it's more than that. There's if you're not drinking and you're loving it, that's awesome, because that's where I am. Even with the anxiety, I'm able to kind of sit with my feelings and not feel like I need to drink alcohol. At this stage of the game, I'm not a drinker. I'm not a non-drinker. I'm just Josh, you know, and I still have my issues. But but if you're early on, or if you're a year or 2 or 3 years alcohol free and you're still struggling and wondering, is it ever going to get better? The answer to that is yes. The key is to just keep going and not even consider using alcohol in particular, but if it's marijuana or other drugs that are a vice for you during this time, the key is just to not use it and lean on the tools that you have accumulated over these months or years. And eventually, you can get to a place where you don't seek that, you don't need that, you don't want that. Alcohol is just a non-factor. But if you're struggling and you don't want to drink, but you're finding yourself succumbing to drinking, the key is to not beat yourself up, take it in stride, but learn from that drinking session. We're not going to be able to just get sober during the holiday season, and that's it. If we are, you know, struggling, we need to use these occasions as kind of a learning point, a data point, if you want to call it that. This Naked Mind by Annie Grace calls it a data point. It's where you drink, but you learn from that drinking experience. So you kind of are aware of how you feel while you're drinking, and you experience that session and then how you feel the next day, and don't just mindlessly drink and expect to just keep doing that over and over again, because that's what we do. Mindlessly drink, and yeah, that works for a while, but once you become aware of the issue, which is the drinking typically makes things worse. I mean, I would say 99.9% of the people that I've been on groups with since I quit drinking will try a drinking session, and they might only have that one slip, um, but some might have a full-blown relapse that lasts weeks or months, and then they come back and say how much they regretted doing that. And I would take those were important people in my recovery. Some of them ended up not drinking again, but some continued on drinking and trying to control or moderate their intake. But in any case, those people are so critical. And if you're one of those people, it's critical that you talk about your experiences on this group or Sobriety in the Storm, my Facebook group, or whatever group you're part of, because your experiences with your binge drinking and your struggles with it are helping solidify in people's minds that are not drinking that, I don't want to return back to it. When I quit drinking, my goal was not to be done 100% with alcohol. I wanted to be a moderator. I wanted to have one or two and be done like a normal person would. As I got a week under my belt, and then 2 weeks, and then a month, I'm like, I don't really want to drink anymore. And that's really kind of what it took. I don't want to feel bad anymore. I don't want to feel bad from the alcohol, but I also don't want to just feel bad for myself. I want to feel good. It took 3 years of trying. It took 3 years of trying to count how many alcoholic beverages I was having in a sitting every time I would drink. It took my idea of moderating was having 8 beers, 8 light beers. And needless to say, that never worked out very well for me, you know. And so that was the key, was really experiencing the lowest part of my drinking. Really, the lowest point in my drinking life wasn't just one time, one occasion. It was an accumulation of many times, many years, many different experiences, and all of it ultimately led me to this, which is, it took about 3 years to finally get over all the cravings and ruminations about turning to alcohol or some other form of some other substance. And once I got to a point where I figured out that there was no escaping this life, there's no escaping what we need to do during, say, the holidays. There's no escaping what we, need to do to be present for ourselves, our family, our friends. We just have to kind of hit it head on. And so there's 4 out of 10 of you guys that are drinking a little bit or drinking a lot, or not drinking but struggling, and that's a substantial amount of you guys. And for those of you that made it through and did not drink but struggled, my best advice, if you're looking for any advice anyway, is to talk to somebody. Talk it out with your spouse if you have one, or talk it out with a friend that you trust. Come to this group, YouTube, or like I said, Facebook, and I'll pin the link in the comments below to my private Facebook group. I also plan on doing some coaching and offering like 40-minute Zoom sessions For a charge, I'll probably do $60 for a 40-minute chat, and that will, because it's going to be helpful for me to know your individual circumstance if you're willing to talk about it. We all have these issues, and like I said, mine was and still is being around groups of people, crowds of people, drama. I hate it. I'm just as opinionated as anyone else can be. I've learned over the years that to minimize the drama that I'm involved in is to just not bring things up that are going to be volatile. If other people choose to do that, I do have ways of diffusing those situations now where I didn't before. And that's been huge and helpful in my recovery, because I mean, I can feel myself getting worked up, but I don't need to feel heard anymore like I used to. That was one of the real key things of when I quit drinking. I needed to learn how to, first of all, not care so much about what other people think, but even if people think differently than I do, to be able to be okay with that point of view and not escalate a situation and make it worse. So that really meant working on my self-esteem. That really meant taking what I had learned and manifesting that into a better way of life, which is a self-esteem, self-control, getting to a place where no matter what was happening on the outside, I was controlling what was happening on the inside, and harnessing that and using that to my advantage. And that's kind of what the best part of being alcohol free is that drinking isn't dictating my life. I'm not reaching for that feeling of euphoria. I'm not using it to try to manage how I'm feeling. I'm actually managing how I feel. Decompression. I had somebody commenting yesterday that he uses alcohol to decompress, and I can relate to that. Although, and he's actually working on getting to a place where I believe he doesn't. He's working on getting to no alcohol, because he realizes this is a process. It doesn't just happen right away. And every time you don't drink, or every time you do drink but you learn something from it, is another step towards being able to not drink at all. And so decompressing, using alcohol to kind of decompress, it does work at the beginning. The problem is that there's fallout from that. Alcohol, even just one drink, can leave us feeling dehydrated, can leave us feeling like we need more alcohol, can leave us feeling all kinds of things, that coping with it and dealing with the stress as it is can leave us with a sustained way of life. It can leave us feeling better and not hungover, or lacking energy, or any of these kinds of things that alcohol makes us feel. Because yes, it does give us that calming effect for a little while, but then depending on how much you're drinking, it can take a while to feel normal again. And alcohol alcohol use wires our brain. It rewires our brain. Depending on when we started drinking, and if we haven't had any alcohol-free time, we can be living a life that really isn't who we really are. We've wired our brains. Like, I started drinking when I was 15 years old, so my mind and my brain has been wired a particular way until I was 42, until I quit. And then as I quit, and as those weeks and months and ultimately years built up, I have been rewiring my brain. And it doesn't just stop because we don't drink. Like I said, we don't stop growing as human beings. We all have flaws. We all have things we need to work on. And those things are easier to do as a non-drinker, because we're not introducing alcohol into our system, which then rewires our brain every time. So that's a huge thing. If you can make it through these holidays, and that's why I decided to do the Burr Month Challenge last year, September, October, November, December, alcohol free, 121 days that is total, from September 1st to December 31st, because it was between like 70 and 120 days where I noticed that my brain was healing from all those 27 years of addiction. And I call it an addiction because that's what it was. I'd wake up thinking about alcohol. I'd go to bed thinking about alcohol. And that's all I thought about. That was the number one thing. And if that's you and you can relate to that, and it's hard to admit that it's a problem, that alcohol is an addiction, that it's been an addiction, then it's going to be kind of hard to get out of that. But I couldn't really acknowledge that until I had a little bit of alcohol-free time under my belt. But 121 days is hard to do, is a hard goal to shoot for right away. So that's why I say you don't have to not drink to be successful in this challenge. You can still drink, but the goal is to learn from those drinking sessions, to learn a little bit more about yourself. I had many people on another poll that I did last week. Why do you drink alcohol? Because of boredom. But the one question was because it's fun, duh. And there was an overwhelming number on there, like 30% or 40%. But you're here for a reason. You're on this. You're watching these videos, or you're watching Quit Lit or reading Quit Lit for a reason, and it's the reasons because deep down, or maybe on the surface even, you know that your drinking is a problem and you want to do something about it. But this is the early stage for you. Like, this is where the spark happens, and this is where life is starting. It really starts when we don't drink at all, but we have to start somewhere. And if you're thinking about a life that is alcohol free and what that could be for you, that's awesome. And that's what this is all about. And so getting through the holidays, we shouldn't be getting through anything. We should thrive in whatever we're doing. The goal is to actually live life and live it to the fullest. We don't need to feel like we're surviving anymore. I mean, sometimes we do have to white knuckle it and get through whatever it is we have to get through. But we should be able to enjoy the holidays or enjoy whatever it is we're going through for this season. Whatever the season is in your life, maybe it's a struggle with a spouse, maybe it's a struggle with a job, maybe it's a struggle financially, maybe it's a struggle socially. Whatever the struggle is for you, let us know down in the comments what it is in particular that you're struggling with, because that's why I say it's going to help me, for anyone interested in having a one-on-one, to be able to know your particular circumstance and kind of help you work through that and formulate a plan on how you're going to work through those tough circumstances, through those tough occasions, and not use alcohol to cope or use alcohol to escape. So, but that's what I got for you guys today. I'm so glad that you came on this hike with me. I'm in Michigan. We're getting ready for about a 6-inch snowfall tonight. Got things as prepared as I can, and I'll be ready for tomorrow. If you're watching this video, we're already in it. But I'm going to be on the channel. If you want to touch base with me on there in the community, if you want to join my Facebook group, Sobriety in the Storm, I'll pin the link in the comments below. I'll pin the link to all my videos, sobriety videos anyway, in the comments below in that section. And if you want to give me a super thanks, that's going to be huge and helpful to keep me going on this channel, on this journey of helping you, of helping others, and ultimately grow the channel that way. If you want to become a member, there's 4 membership levels. That would be awesome. I'm planning on making more content for members only as that grows. For those of you that have become members, thank you guys so much for getting a membership. If you want to buy me a coffee, the link is in my channel description, and those are just some ways that you can contribute monetarily. But even just being part of this group, commenting, liking, watching my videos, all those things are huge and helpful for you, for me, for the group as a whole, and that's what this is all about. And I'm so glad that I can make this content for you guys. So I wish you a Merry Christmas. I mean, I'll have a lot more content between now and then, but I wish you a happy holiday season, a season that's filled with joy, not dread, a season that's filled with sobriety, not drunkenness. And yeah, if you're struggling, reach out. But even if you're not and you're here and you want to contribute with encouragement to others, that would be awesome. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you on the next video, and peace. I'm out of here.